What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. And you know, sometimes you see stuff trending on Twitter and you just start scratching your head like, who the hell got this thing trending, right? This sounds absolutely crazy. This sounds insane. There's no way in hell this is going to work, okay? Or whatever the situation is. This something absolutely bonkers that you just like so off the wall, right? Off the wall that it's like no way in hell, right? Okay? And this is just crazy, and people just get anything trending nowadays. You start thinking that, right? But then sometimes something starts trending, and you start to laugh, but then you start thinking like, could this happen? Could this happen, okay? And this has been trending all weekend long on Twitter. Amplify, it says, hashtag sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, hashtag sell ZSJL, Zack Snyder's Justice League, to Netflix. And you can see the photo and you can see what it's trying to say. Sell SnyderVerse to Netflix. They're trying to get this trending event going. You can see it has Valentine's Day noted, okay? That's the day this thing is supposed to take off, right? So, trending event. Use only 2 hashtags per tweet, tag at Netflix, those 2 hashtags, and that's what they're trying to do. Now, you start asking yourself, can this happen, right? Could Warner Brothers sell SnyderVerse, the SnyderVerse and all of its films and everything in its little package to Netflix so that Netflix can basically finish off the SnyderVerse, right? Could they do that? Let's get a couple of things out of the way first of all, okay? Warner Brothers would not be selling the rights to these characters to Netflix or to anybody, all right? That is a huge IP, and there's no way in the world that Warner Brothers is just gonna sell that to somebody. No way in hell. If anything happens, they would be producing it themselves, right? Okay? Maybe in conjunction with like Zack Snyder's production company. You can see that little stone quarry symbol right there, that little icon or whatever. That's Zack Snyder's production company that Zack Snyder's been using, making like Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon and all of that, right? That's the production company. If anything, they would be making it in conjunction with Stone Quarry, and then Netflix would have the distribution rights, okay? They have the rights to put it on their platform or distribute it in theaters or whatever it is that they want to do, okay? So that's what we're talking about. It's kind of similar to what Marvel did with, you know, the Daredevil and Defender stuff, right? Because Marvel Television made those shows, okay? Those weren't made by Netflix. Marvel Television produced those shows. Netflix just distributed them, right? That's how Marvel was able to pull that stuff back up out of there. There ain't no way Netflix was going to produce a show and then be like, all right, I guess we got to give it back to Marvel. No, we made them shows. Those are our shows. So again, there's no way in hell that Warner Brothers would be selling the rights. They would just be working out some sort of a deal where Netflix would have the distribution rights, okay? They would have the distribution rights, but Warner Brothers would be making the actual movies. So the question is, would Netflix be willing to pay just some exorbitant, ridiculous amount of money to entice Warner Brothers to actually produce these shows, okay? To make it so worth Warner Brothers' while, it's like, man, we gotta do it, okay? They made us an offer we can't refuse, okay? Would Netflix be willing to do that? That's the question. Most of y'all are probably saying it's a 0% chance, no way in hell, right? I'm one of these cats like, maybe 10%. Maybe there's a 10% chance that if Netflix is desperate and hard up enough for some content, they could actually go ahead and do this thing. Like, don't write it all the way off, right? Now, again, I'm about 90% like, no way in hell. But 10% of me says, maybe, okay? Because the thing you got to remember is that Warner Brothers needs money, okay? These cats just came out of a merger, and they are in the red, man, in the absolute red. So they need bread, okay? They got debts to pay. They got bills to pay. They need money. Netflix also in some dire straits from a money standpoint. But if they could figure out how to turn this thing into a profitable money-making opportunity for them, they might say, you know what? What the hell, man? Let's just go in and try to get it. You know, again, Zack Snyder's already there, right? He's been working with Netflix. His last, I think, 3 films has been produced on Netflix. So it's a possibility Zack Snyder might say, hey guys, you know, this is what I'm interested in. I want to finish that off, okay? I got a huge rabid fan base over here that's dying to see the end of this thing, okay? And wants this to continue to its conclusion. I have some ideas of how I would put it together. You know, if he still has a good relationship with Warner Brothers, maybe they all sit down at the table and talk. I don't know. But again, it would just take an amount of money that I just cannot imagine for Netflix to entice Warner Brothers to do this. And you know, James Gunn is still in control of anything that is being produced on the Warner Brothers lot. So he would say, hey, is this going to interfere with what I'm doing? Now, we got this covered, has been discussing this. Demands for the SnyderVerse to be sold to Netflix exist somewhere between desperate and delusional. And I mean, they're not 100% wrong about that, but at the same time, the fans are desperate. They do want to see Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder finish this thing off. So here's what it says. It would appear that the unofficial announcement of Justice League Power of Bagel is the straw that broke the camel's back, with SnyderVerse supporters now deciding they want Warner Brothers Discovery to auction off a piece of the DCU to Netflix. The reasons why this isn't going to happen are plentiful, even though the streaming service, Netflix that is, has a habit of paying exorbitant amounts of money for blockbuster content. That is very true. Again, Netflix is known for coming out of the pocket to really, try to get some content on their platform, okay? But here's the thing. The plan for James Gunn and Peter Safran is to consolidate the many splintered arms of the franchise, so we fail to see how handing a corner of it off to a rival would make much creative sense. Now, like I said before, they wouldn't be handing it off, okay? They're not selling anything to Netflix, no way in hell. But they would have to produce the content themselves, and now you wonder, like, why would you produce content for a rival, right? Like for a competitor, right? Again, that's why Marvel pulled the plug on the Daredevil and Defender stuff from being on Netflix. Because they're like, well, why are we making content for our, let's bring that stuff over to us, We want to make the money off of that. If anything's going to happen, we're going to make it, okay? But they don't see the value of the SnyderVerse like the SnyderVerse fans, right? I'm talking about Warner Brothers. They don't really see that this thing is worth continuing. That's why they just kind of put it to an end, they just put that bad boy to bed. It would take an amount of money that I don't think Netflix is willing to spend to entice Warner Brothers to say, hey, keep it going. All right, keep it going. That's what it would be. Now, with all of the stuff that's come out with the SnyderVerse, people wasn't showing up in droves, in flocks to watch this stuff, okay? It's all nice to trend stuff on Twitter and get the hashtag going and everybody gets behind it, okay? But hashtags ain't money. Netflix is like, wait, why would we sacrifice a chunk of money that huge in order to get the distribution rights for something that folks really haven't latched on to like that? Why would we do that? And that's a good question. And it says here that, they got key characters integral to the future of DC Studios. If Warner Brothers wanted to have multiple iterations of the same core heroes running around all at once, which admittedly has become an increasing problem, it would happen under David Zaslav's roof and nowhere else. Again, they wouldn't sell something to their competition. Again, unless Netflix is willing to just throw boatloads of money at Warner Brothers to make it happen, And them and Zack Snyder come in again with the old Godfather offer you can't refuse type of deal. They would have to do something on that level. And again, Netflix with the money problems that it has, again, I don't think they would do it. I doubt they would do it, but it's a possibility, sure. And yet, because some folks can't seem to let go of Zack Snyder's tenure as the architect of the interconnected mythology being over, the latest twist in the never-ending tale has been gathering serious traction online. And you can see some more stuff very soon. Sell Zack Snyder Justice League to Netflix, sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, restore the SnyderVerse, and you have this whole thing, Netflix restored. Can you imagine if this thing showed up on Twitter one day from Netflix by popular demand and they got all of this going? Holy smokes, that would be incredible. But I don't think it's got a great shot again, maybe 10% if Netflix is that desperate for the content, possibly. Trying to negotiate the SnyderVerse rights to your catalog is one of the best deals for you, Netflix. Zack Snyder's fan base is strong. We would make them #1 products, consequently increasing their subscriber numbers. Yeah, like I said, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one because, again, the Zack Snyder fan base might be strong, but cats ain't been showing up in theaters, man. Like, like I said with the Black Adam, man, you had to show up in the theaters. You had to show them that you meant business. When Henry Cavill was coming back as Superman, you got to show up. You can't just sit back on Twitter and just hashtag stuff, okay? This is money, man. Money talks. I just got through talking about that with the whole Harry Potter issue, okay? You can throw all your hate and the hashtags and everything, but money is the thing that they're looking at. Oh, sales was up? Cool, So that's the problem. Hey, Netflix, how about you trade for this sequel, 2 amazing movies or a 4-hour one? You set the platform numbers on fire. Man, I look at these 2 pictures and I'm like, yo, let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. My passion is there, okay? But again, I'm looking at it realistically. I mean, why would Netflix want to throw that amount of money at something that really never took off for Warner Brothers? Now, I was thinking, why would Warner Brothers want to do this as well, right? Like, even if Netflix came with some ridiculous offer, like, what's going to entice Warner Brothers to take the plunge? Consider that they have those 4 films coming out this year, okay? 4 films coming out that have zero resolution to them, okay? Those films are going to come out. They're part of a universe that is basically dead at this point, right? And remember, I had already commented, like, I think that's a big issue with those 4 films coming out. I'll go ahead and link that video up if you haven't seen it. But, you know, we live in the era of cinematic universes. People want closure, you know, they want that thing to continue to its end. So Warner Brothers might say, you know, for the sake of the box office for this particular year, 2023, you know, if they had some idea that, yeah, there's going to be a continuation of this universe. It's not going to continue in theaters. Netflix is going to get the distribution rights and they're going to do that. But there will be a continuation of this universe. Maybe that does entice people, more people anyway, to come out to the theaters and watch this thing. I don't know. But another reason that could maybe possibly be even more important to them is that you're giving some sort of a resolution to the SnyderVerse fans that have been hashtagging Fire James Gunn forever and a day. Fire James Gunn, fire Peter Safran. That stuff's been hashtagging for like a couple of months now, right? They might want to cool down some of that backlash that they've been getting and just, hey, you know what? This SnyderVerse thing is going to be Elseworlds. That's what it is. Like Snyder can do his thing. Gunn can have his universe. It's all Elseworlds anyway. And if Netflix wants to throw a big, huge wad of cash our way, okay, and get the distribution rights for something that we're going to throw together for them, hey, why not? Would probably be the best decision Warner Brothers Discovery and Netflix would give us. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. And yeah, these film slate that looks all interesting and everything. People would probably enjoy it. But again, you have to say, how much money would it cost for Netflix to entice Warner Brothers to get this thing cracking, okay? Again, get it through your head that Warner Brothers is not selling the rights to these characters so that Netflix can make shows on them. No way, no how. If anything, they again would be co-producers with it, you know, joining with Zack Snyder's company, and then Netflix would just distribute it. That's the only way I can personally see this thing coming down. I don't know if you guys have a different thought on that, but that's how I see it. And that's again the reason why I think it's highly unlikely, but there's always a chance. Anyway, folks, what do you think about this situation? Netflix trying to entice Warner Brothers basically to let them finish the SnyderVerse? How likely is that? Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and your opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.